Journey to God's House, chapter 14, entitled Seven Brides for Seven Sorcerers. So one day the governing body came up with a really bright, neat idea, and that is Bethel Family Movie Night. So since there were so many things that they couldn't do, I guess it was kind of refreshing to have something for them to do that was sanctioned by the mighty governing body. And so what happened was that they would pick a movie and show it to the entire Bethel family through their video broadcast feed, so that way they could watch it all together. And the first movie chosen was a movie called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Now, he mentions as a young 20-something-year-old male, musicals weren't his thing, but he decided to go, and it was a success. It was a success, excuse me. He had a really good time, and so the governing body decided that they were going to do a second movie night since the first one was such a smash hit. And what was the second movie chosen? None other than a Disney cartoon called Fantasia. If you don't know what this movie's about, it's a cartoon, a Disney cartoon made up of small separate stories set to classical music. Each story had a theme that matched the music of a different composer, and these stories are simple flights of fantasy, frolicking animals, various plant life coming to life, so on and so forth. Typical Disney movie. We know what kind of movies Disney puts out. And so this was one that was handpicked by the governing body themselves. So come movie time, family Bethel movie night, and Fantasia begins to play. Everyone's enjoying themselves. As the first movie was, it was a smash hit. But then a little short story in Fantasia came up entitled The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Now, what's going on with this was that there was some magic stuff that sorcerers do, of course, because that's what sorcerers do. And so Mickey Mouse, who was the sorcerer's apprentice, got a hold of the sorcerer's hat and started to try and perform magical feats using this hat. And so he was trying to get his job of mopping and cleaning done by enchanting the mops and pails to do the work by themselves. Well, Mickey Mouse wasn't very good at magic, and all hell breaks loose, and everything goes out of control, and that's the funny part of the story. No harm, no foul. Unfortunately, this wasn't a very fun idea for the Bethel family, because even though this short part of the story of Fantasia was only minutes into the beginning, and they had already seen a couple of other stories, well, that didn't stop some in attendance from actually walking out. That's right. These pious subjects were walking out of a movie that was handpicked by the governing body themselves. Can you imagine that? They just couldn't possibly watch this satanic and demonic movie that the governing body handpicked themselves. And so afterwards, in the ensuing days, Brock Talon witnessed and participated in many discussions. Seemed like it was a hot topic. Some people were pious and some people didn't mind so much. So it was a hot button to press. But he makes a good point. He brings out how a typical discussion went in those days. And this is what he says in response to someone else. So let me get this straight. You'll let a family member die by not giving them a blood transfusion because of what the faithful and discreet slave says, and you'll shun your own mother or father if the society deems them as unrepentant sinners. But when these same men put a cartoon in front of you to watch, you're now in a quandary? Would you walk out of a Watchtower study based on these same principles you are now holding to if you were not to agree with what the magazine was saying? And that is, we need a slow clap, that one. Because it's so true. They're going to put their life on the lines for something that these governing body members says. But once the Sorcerer's Apprentice comes on the Fantasia movie, well, now my conscience is affected. And so, being the smart ass that he is, he decided to take this further in these discussions by saying that it should be a matter of conscience for all things. But you know how that goes. When people, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, believe that something's bad, there's nothing that you can do about it. So in the end, he was glad to see the movie Fantasia. He watched it, stayed for the whole thing, and was guilt-free by watching it. So if anybody in Bethel ever again counseled him about something that was a matter of personal conscience, he would simply remind them, remember Fantasia, and that will shut him up. So this is going to bring an end to this chapter. Thanks for listening. Thank you for taking time to listen to my summary of the book, Journey to God's House. Post your comments, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next chapter.